Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now on our pilgrimage to the destination of Chap Nirvana, we're probably going to spend a fair bit of time walking to that destination. So what we wear on our feet as intentionally well-dressed men is an important decision that we make every day when we put on those shoes or boots. And I recently asked for any questions you guys may have that I can help you with when it comes to my observations or thoughts on footwear. And I have a number here today. In fact, I had so many, I'll probably do a couple more videos on this topic. So I'm just going to get stuck right in and answer these questions. First email has come from Harsh, who says to me, I'm hoping to get some clarity on your shoe polishing routine from some of the videos you've shared. In your tutorials, you demonstrated a cycle that includes shoe shampooing, applying Saphir Renovator, shoe cream, wax polish, and then a mirror gloss. My question is, how often do you repeat this cycle? Is it weekly, bi-weekly, or only when the shoes are heavily soiled? Additionally, whilst I understand the process for starting with a raw or soiled shoe, I am unsure what to do when the shoe isn't too dirty and still has a bit of mirror gloss on it. I wear formal shoes to work daily and they don't experience much soiling, just light dirt here and there. In such cases, should I simply brush off the dirt or should I repeat the entire cycle? Okay, great question from Harsh. And I've got a pair of my dress shoes here myself, which I refer to as we go along. Now, getting the whole gamut of activities done to get your shoe looking their best is a variable feast, okay? So if we have a brand new pair of shoes and they perhaps are a blank canvas for us, no polish has been applied at any point, then I would recommend doing everything that we've laid out or I've laid out in my previous shoe polishing tutorials. That would begin with, yes, perhaps using some saddle soap on them to make sure there's no materials which have maybe come along through the manufacturing process, oils, waxes or whatever, which are on the shoe which will affect the finish on them. Shampoo them off. Same goes as if the shoe has had a hard life and it's really dirty and soiled, as you say. A good shampooing brings it back to a nice blank canvas. Then to build the shoe back up, yes, I would use a conditioning cream. Saphir Renovator is a very good example of that. Then a shoe cream, lots of pigmentation for the colour of the leather, starting to bring some luster and some shine to the shoes. Then I would use a wax polish, a hard wax polish, which gives us that little overcoat of protection for our shoes, the wax polish. And then finally, if you want to go for a mirror shine, as these shoes indeed have a minor mirror shine here, then we apply wax polish to the areas we want to see shining. That is from scratch. Now, if we've done that to our shoes, the only time I would reapply any of those processes is if the shoe needs it. So if the if the mirror shine has worn off or become scratched, I would then touch up the mirror shine as I go along. I wouldn't subject the shoe to a whole new barrage of Saphir Renovator shoe conditioner. I wouldn't put more shoe cream on there. I only apply these things as and when they need. I will say one thing to you. Remember, you are not a slave to your shoes. I hear of people who will, regularly break down the shoe back to its factory finish. They will use a sort of a cleansing agent, cutting agent, something like Saphir Renomat, which will take away all the polishes. It will take away all of the finish. And then you start again, bringing it back to this position that we want it to be. It's fine to do that maybe once a year if you want to do a deep cleanse on the shoe and give it a good old thorough going over. But day-to-day usage, I only touch up the areas which need work, and maybe once a week I would give the shoe a sort of a brushing over with wax polish and then retouch the mirror shine. Do not be a slave to your footwear. It's not about spending half an hour every day on your shoes. Do it as and when needed. And if your shoes don't get a hard life, dust them over. Maybe run the brush over, horsehair brush once a day. That's all you need to do. Do not allow the shoes to gain mastery over you. It's the other way around. Okay, next question. Dear Ash, I thought I would follow up in case you have the opportunity to respond to a question I have. Would you tell me your thoughts on Sanders chukka boots and MPS Solitaire boots, which look to be on the more affordable end of made in England compared to something like Chini or Jad? Okay, good question. And brands, I will say for a start, I've never owned a pair of MPS Solitaire. It's not my style of footwear. It's kind of a Dr. Martin style air sole type thing. Though that's their most famous shoe from their collection. Really not my bag, to be honest with you. But I can speak more broadly about more affordable brands. So let's just talk about what you've asked. Sanders. Now, Sanders and Sanders is their actual name. And this is actually a pair of Sanders and Sanders black cap toe Oxfords. Brand new, unworn. Been in my collection for quite some time. I've got the reason these are unworn. I've got about 5 pairs of Sanders and Sanders black cap toe Oxfords, because when I was in the military, they were issued to people such as myself, and I collected a few pairs, knowing that I was going to leave, and I've been wearing them out slowly over the years. Sanders and Sanders, or should we just call them Sanders, as everybody does these days, they have a great history, and yes indeed they are on the more affordable end of entirely made in Great Britain footwear. So Sanders and Sanders have been around since 1873. They are still in family ownership. 5th generation of Sanders family are involved in the management and making of Sanders shoes to this day, still in Northamptonshire, the epicenter of the men's Goodyear welted shoe universe, to be entirely honest. Now, their history goes way back, as you know, 1873. In the First World War, they were cranking out 6,000 pairs of army boots per week to keep the British military shod in the war effort. After the war, they then switched over to making shoes and boots for the civilian population, still making 5,000 to 6,000 pairs per week. To this very day, Sanders make around 2,000 pairs of shoes or boots per week, and they are actually really good British made. The reason why they are more affordable than some brands like maybe Chini, or even going higher up the spectrum, you know, Crockett and Jones, Trickers, things like that, who are also made in the same vicinity in Northamptonshire, is their brand reputation is perhaps not quite so high. Because for many years, and as I've said here, this pair, they supply them to the armed forces. So they often white label their products. So they will make shoes under another brand's title, name, and you know, they are sold under other brands identifying brand identity. So basically, Sanders and Sanders, they are less well known to most people, except for those who have knowledge about the footwear, because they are entirely handmade. They are of equal quality to brands like Barker's and Chini and so on. But you're likely to get them a little bit cheaper because they are less known in the retail world. They tend to be making for other brands quite often. You will not regularly see Sanders shoes in big department stores. As far as I know, they don't have any retail stores themselves. They don't have a presence on Jermyn Street, where all of the big brands have shops. So Sanders and Sanders exist that tier below, manufacturing at a very high level, but without that brand identity themselves. They have some standout models. They do make a sort of desert chukka boot, which has got quite a thick sole on it. That's their high top. Very popular. Around about, I think it's about 265 quid. Really, really suede, all different colours. I think they have been worn by the Bond character in at least one movie. They are a great, great boot. They're high top, suede, chukka, deserty boot. I'd love to own a pair. Haven't got round to it yet. I have owned many pairs of Sanders shoes over the years. They're a bit of a secret. You can get them cheaply. Generally speaking, between £300 to £400 you will find them for sale. You know, buy them direct from their own website, and you will get a shoe which is very good quality. And I would look to, and they offer shoes in all different models. You know, you've got the Cap Toe Oxfords, the Brogues, the full Monty. Loads and loads of stuff there. Even more modern, you know, sort of fashion-forward models are available there. But definitely go and have a look. You will get a bargain. A very good shoe at a very affordable price. Just to raise the point, you make the point compared to Chini and Jad, they are a little cheaper. I would say they're about the same price, to be honest. I mean, Chini are not the same value point as Crockett & Jones, Trickers, things like that. You're getting them a bit cheaper, very affordable as well. Very affordable Chini, but they have more of a retail presence, so you might pay a little bit more for them. But really and truly, Sanders are an excellent product at a very good price point. So, moving on quickly. From Ben, who asks me, any thoughts on the idea that dark olive green is more versatile for a boot than a black or a brown? Yes, I would say. I wouldn't say more versatile, right? So olive green is one of those colours which is, it goes with pretty much everything. When I think about my own wardrobe generally, I have quite a lot of olive green items. I have an olive green chore jacket, which I wear frequently because it's quite a benign colour. It goes with everything. I have a few pairs of olive green chino trousers. They go with everything. They're a very good flexible colour, and with most colours, right? So I wouldn't say green goes well with navy personally, or blue. Navy, green and blue are colours which are perhaps a little conflicting with each other, but I would say that olive green in footwear is uncommonly seen, but actually a very flexible colour. I don't own any olive green footwear myself, but I do not have an issue with it. I think it is a good flexible colour. Not as flexible as something like burgundy, but definitely something worth having in the collection if you like to be a little bit edgy and you like colours which are different from black and brown. Brown is a big topic to talk about because there are so many different shades of brown. You can have dark chocolate brown, you can have light tan brown. If we take a mid-brown colour, it is extremely flexible, goes with pretty much everything except black clothing. So I wouldn't say olive green is quite as flexible as a mid-brown or maybe a burgundy, but it's there or thereabouts. It's a good alternative, definitely worth thinking about, and I wouldn't say no if the right pair of boots crossed my path in that colour. So, moving on. Elijah Raffles has said, can you talk about what 2 styles of shoes you would recommend to somebody getting into shoes for the first time? Also, what's a good budget to start out with? Okay, so let's talk about the budget first. Budget-wise, I would recommend when it comes to buying footwear, always buy or spend as much as you can reasonably afford on your shoes. Because remember, you're going to be walking around in these things all the time. Comfort is paramount when it comes to your footwear. And if you buy cheap products, you're going to be left walking around in cheap shoes, which tend not to be so comfortable. They're not going to last as long. They're not going to look as good. So always invest as much as you reasonably can. Remember, as the old adage goes, quality is the best bargain when it comes to buying items of apparel, and the same goes for footwear. If you invest in a really good pair of shoes or boots, not only are they going to look good, they're going to feel good, they're going to last longer, they're going to much longer outlast cheaper shoes. So remember that. Quality is the best bargain you can afford. So, what 2 styles of shoe would I recommend? For me, it's quite easy. One of them is on the table, a black Cap Toe Oxford, because this is a flexible dress shoe you can wear with navy suits, you can wear it with charcoal suits, charcoal grey, you can wear it with any colour suit at all, including black. So your black Cap Toe Oxford is the most flexible shoe a man will own. You can wear it to funerals, you can wear it to your wedding, job interviews, and even if you're somebody who just likes knocking around wearing a suit, you can wear it day to day. It is the Swiss Army knife of footwear. Good for everything. Once you've bought that one, the next shoe I would suggest you wish to purchase should be a brogue. For me, it's always going to be a full wingtip brogue, and it is going to be in a brown colour, and I'm going to suggest a mid-brown, as I've said, is the most flexible. It is a lovely colour it dips into the world of casuality. You can wear a full wingtip brogue shoe with jeans, blue denim jeans, or equally you can wear it with that lovely navy suit that you own, or that charcoal grey suit that you own as well. It is a very, very flexible shoe, is the full wingtip brogue, and when you employ it in a brown, mid-brown, again, you can wear it pretty much with anything. It is so versatile, and it's going to look classy too. And as you say, you ask for a price point. Do you know what? If I was pushed, I would say it's hard to find really good quality shoes, Goodyear welted shoes, right? So the sole stitched to the upper, not cemented or glued to it, for under £200. Now here in the UK, you could be looking at something like Loke 1880 collection, which would be around about 200 to 300. If you're in North America, Allen Edmonds, same sort of price point, Goodyear welted shoe. I'd be looking £250 to £300 would be a good area to be investing your money to make sure that what you're buying is quality, it's going to last. Make sure it's Goodyear welted, make sure it's a full grain leather, and you're pretty much got a good chance of getting something decent. A black cap to Oxford should be your first purchase, and a full wingtip brogue in brown should be your second. Actually, that's all you need in your shoe collection when you're starting off, and you're covered for most things in life. Now, if you don't want the brown full wingtip, burgundy or oxblood will also fit nicely as well. Great colours, very flexible, easily worn with many different colours of clothing, and they look great. Last question. This one comes from CJ Pauly, who says, does the material of the soles make much of a difference to your shoes? Are there certain types of shoes that should have a leather sole and certain types that should have a rubber sole? Great question. I've got a leather sole and heel pair of shoes here on the table, and they have a certain place in life, I would suggest. Now, when we're considering, many brands, of course, make shoes or boots with either a leather sole or a rubber sole, be it a day-night sole, a commando sole, or whatever. And you'll have a decision to make. Should I buy leather? Should I buy rubber? What drives your decision? There are some important things which I would suggest will drive that decision-making process. Firstly, the environment in which you live is paramount. I live here in the United Kingdom, a temperate climate. All right, it is often wet and damp in the winter months. It is often dry in the summer months. There's a point to be made, an argument to be made for either type of leather or rubber. Leather sole shoes tend to suit shoes which are going to be worn in predominantly dry environments. So if you're somebody who works in an office all the time, you're walking around on carpet and you're really going out into the street and walking around on, pavement, tarmac or whatever, likely to be wet, slippery in the winter, yeah, I would say leather sole might suit you well. For me though, temperate climate, often damp, often rainy, for me rubber sole is the obvious choice because rubber gives more adhesion in loose weather conditions. It also protects the foot more because obviously leather is a permeable substance. It will allow water to pass through it. And if you stand around on the wet floor for long enough, it will travel through and it will dampen your foot. So for me, I usually opt for a day-night sole because of my climate. But it's not all about the climate, is it? You've also got the circumstances in which you intend to wear those shoes. Undoubtedly, a formal shoe, like this black cap-toe Oxford here, if it's going to be worn in formal situations, leather will be your choice because leather gives a sleek appearance to the shoe and it's what one expects for a more formal piece of footwear. So a leather sole shoe for formal situations, if you're wearing it in an office environment, things like that. Your rubber shoe tends to be a little more chunky, so it's less naturally suited to maybe formal situations. That said, day-night soles tend to be quite low profile. They can easily cross over. And when I say day-night, this is the type of sole with the small round nipples underneath, which give good traction. They're a good middle ground, actually. Very wearable in formal situations, but also they work well in the cooler, wetter times of year. Other things you want to consider: how far you intend to walk in these shoes. Because if you're wearing leather, walking around, putting lots of mileage on these, on pavements, they are going to wear down a lot quicker. Also, if you're going off-road in them, these are not very good on wet, grassy environments or gravel, all right? They are pretty much at home in the city, indoors. If you're doing loads of mileage, I would go for a rubber sole because it will last longer, it will give you greater traction, and it's exactly what you need in the situations that you're putting in more mileage, more grip on the ground. If you're going off-road occasionally, maybe you walk through a park every so often, rubber soles is going to be the better option for you, rather than leather, which likely will be a bit more slippy. A really good analogy which I could bring to this is in the Daniel Craig James Bond era, James Bond wore mostly Crockett & Jones footwear and almost always wore day-night soles on his Crockett & Jones shoes. It's always noticeable if you can just catch a glimpse of it when Bond participates in some action scenes. And I put this into most people's way of life. James Bond wears rubber-soled shoes because he often undertakes dynamic physical activity. He's running, he's jumping, he's fighting or whatever. And at the same time, he wants to look smart and elegant. So he wants a shoe which is fairly low profile, yet still able to do the job for him when he needs to in a dynamic situation. If that fits your life, I would suggest something like a day-night rubber sole is the perfect marriage between formality and dynamic activity. I believe that fits in my life the best. So whilst I have many shoes which are leather sole, it used to be the sort of ultimate of style, I would suggest that in most people's lives, probably a rubber sole, day-night sole, will be the thing that looks after you the best. And if you've got unlimited funds, one pair of shoes with leather for the most formal situations, one for the rubber sole when you're perhaps doing your day-to-day life. So there we go. That was the questions I've knocked off today. I will, of course, carry on. There are more questions on shoes to come up, and I'll drop them in future videos as and when I can, quite soon, most likely, because there's always a lot of interest in men's footwear. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget, like the video as well, and subscribe for more. If you'd like to ask me a question on shoes, on style, whatever, drop it into the comment section, or better still, drop me an email. It's on the screen now. If you'd like to support the channel more practically, you can buy me a coffee, one-off thing, or for a tiny, tiny monthly fee, I think it's £3, you can become a member of my Patreon community. There you will benefit from the additional videos which I make every week, and you'll get a personal dialogue with me ongoing, like the guys who've asked these questions today. And if you want to know how to get in on that, the link is in the show notes below to my Patreon pages. So, until the next time, take care, and I'll see you again very soon.